So my purpose for calling you is I want to try to convince you that even science, belief in science, the atheist belief in science, if he believes
Hmm.
in it, is also based on faith. That's what
Okay, go on.
I'm trying to convince. Okay,
Go on.
so I'm an atheist.
Hmm.
So yeah. So would you say that believing in a proposition just because it's intuitive for you, like you don't like when I ask what's your justification for proposition X, and he just says, I just don't know. It seems really intuitive for me. I don't have a justification for it. So would you say
Hmm.
that he's believing in that proposition? His belief in that proposition is based on faith. Would you say that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So could you tell me? So okay, so when atheists get asked why they don't believe in religion and why they believe in science, so the usual response is because religion doesn't have evidence and science has. So you can
Hmm.
assume that I'm a hypothetical religious person
Hmm.
who admits that his beliefs are based on faith, and how
Hmm.
he's trying to argue that even science, even the atheist belief in science, is also based on faith. Okay,
Okay.
so
Hmm.
my first question to you is, what do you mean by evidence,
My
or
definition
rather,
of
what are your
evidence,
standards for evidence? Let's go with that.
there cannot be an independent, free floating definition of evidence because my definition of evidence would depend on the claim being made. So if someone says, मेरे कटोरे के अंदर एक लड्डू है,
Hmm.
then that is the claim that कटोरे के अंदर लड्डू है, and the
Okay.
evidence will be कटोरा खोल के दिखाओ. Show me the
Okay.
laddu because you can. The katora is in your hand. You can open it and you can show me. If someone says the Big Bang was caused by a conscious being,
Hmm.
then I don't know what kind of evidence I can ask them. I can simply ask them, how do you know this? Because
Hmm.
none of us know this. None of us have access to that information.
Okay.
Right? So sometimes the claim is unfalsifiable. But when it is not falsifiable, I can tell you the evidence I need based on the nature of the claim.
Okay. So let's go with a specific claim then.
Okay.
So, do you believe that Mars exists?
Yes.
Why?
Because I have read about Mars, I have seen Mars's pictures, I have read books about Mars and and space and the solar system, and therefore it appears to me that Mars is something that exists. Also, I can literally see Mars.
So, would you say that?
I
What?
can see Mars, by the way. Yeah.
Okay. So, would you say that, like reading all those books? So, although, this would count as evidence, right? Whatever you said.
Hmm.
Would you say that it makes it more plausible? So, I believe in Mars because it seems that it's plausible, plausible to believe in Mars.
No, I'm not believing in Mars because it is plausible. I'm saying because I can see Mars.
Okay. So, okay.
Use
Next
another
question.
planet that I can't see, and then it will make more sense.
Okay. Do you know a planet that we can see with our eyes? Or okay, let's say. Okay. Okay. This is fine. This is fine. So, why does seeing Mars prove that it exists?
Why does seeing something
Our
prove that it
ability to see
exists?
Mars.
Hmm.
How do we know the instruments that we use to see? First of all, this question. Second of all, why? How do we know that the instruments we are using to see
Hmm.
is not biased in some way, or it's misleading us or something?
If I turned my telescope towards Mars and I saw it,
Hmm.
that would not be sufficient evidence to conclude that Mars exists. But
Okay.
then I refer to sky charts made by people from a long time,
Hmm.
and I see that the part of the sky where I see Mars is also the part of the sky where they saw Mars. Then I compare what I see to what they saw. I will compare the image that I saw to the images that are available. Then I would ask scientists who have also studied Mars and seen Mars. I'm saying that I see something is evidence, but if you want to strengthen that line of thought, you can actually compare what you see to the frame of reference provided by everyone else's observation of Mars.
Why do you trust others' observation of Mars?
Do I have a choice?
You could not trust it.
Sorry?
You could not trust it. You could choose to not trust it.
No, I could not really.
How
I'm
so?
living on a planet where I am
Hmm.
having to rely on certain things in order to survive, right? Like
Yep.
breathing air is good for me, drinking water is good for me. And nominally, in the course of everyday life, we have to believe a lot of things. Some things are easier to believe, some things are harder to believe. Some things are impossible to believe because there is no evidence for it. And we assign levels of likelihood to various things. So if I said that this pen exists, you would believe me, I think, because you have no reason to think that the pen is not existing. And even if you don't believe that the pen exists, it does not affect your life in any meaningful way. But when the claim becomes farther and farther away from my common everyday experience, it becomes more and more difficult to believe it when someone presents it and gives no evidence to support it. So that's why I believe it.
Okay, so basically you don't have a choice, you say.
Yeah, it would seem so. I don't have a
Like
choice.
so basically you're having to trust your senses.
I'm not only trusting my senses. I told you I'm trusting the account given by other people also.
Yes, but that information you got it through your senses, right? Even that
Are
information that
you
others.
are you heading towards solipsism?
No, no, no.
Okay, carry on.
Okay, so where were we? Okay, so you don't have a choice here, you say. So why does not having a choice imply that it is justified in believing that?
Why does
Like,
not having a choice imply that it is justified?
yeah,
Do you see the problem with that question?
could you tell me?
I said I don't have a choice,
Hmm.
and you say why does not having a choice matter, right?
Hmm. Why does not having a choice then justify that? Then say that it's justified. Then imply
Because
that it's justified.
I told you I don't have a choice.
So you could be getting biased information, right, through your
Oh,
senses.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, my entire worldview could be false. I could be a brain and a vat, and all of this I would be imagining. But my question to you is: do you actually believe any of this,
No,
or are you just doing mental masturbation?
it's kind of like devil's advocate thing.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. So, where were we?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay, could you repeat, like in short, what you just said for the part where I asked for justification for trusting your senses?
I'll repeat in a nutshell.
Okay.
I look at things, I
Hmm.
see them through my senses,
Hmm.
then I compare what I saw and observed to the reports given by other people who saw the same thing. The
Okay.
more people who verify my thing, the more likely I am to believe in the thing that I saw to be real. Let's forget Mars.
Hmm.
Think of something very common like a tree. I went and saw a tree. I have no reason to think that the tree is not there because I have seen trees before in my life, and I will not rub my eyes and I'll be like, oh my god, a tree, right? I would do that if it was an alien spaceship, by the way, because I've never seen an alien spaceship and I have no frame of reference for it. So if I see an alien spaceship, I'll be like, hey, do you see that? And they'll say yes. If they say no, I'm in trouble, by the way. But if they say yes, then I can compare. I can ask them: is that silver colored? Is it round? Does it have yellow windows? Is there a blue alien coming out of it? And if they say yes to all of these things, I come to the conclusion that what I'm observing is true. If if they and I are the only two people who see it, then I'm again in trouble. But I ask more and more people and they all verify the same thing, and we come to the conclusion that what we are seeing is true. It is also possible, by the way, that every single human being I asked is wrong about it, and that there is some kind of collective illusion happening,
Hmm.
right? In which
Hmm.
case we use instrumentation. We use instrumentation that evaluate that area in space and see what is happening there. Why is it affecting our optical nerves this way, and so on and so forth. Basically, the whole game is about measurement. We measure on a very mundane level using our sense organs, and when our sense organs are in need of being questioned, we use more sensitive instrumentation.
Okay. Okay. I don't have anything to say right now. I'll have to think
Okay.
more. Yeah. So thanks for the conversation.
You should look up solipsism a little bit so that you don't fall into it accidentally.
Yeah, I know what it is. I think it's the belief that I'm only conscious, something like that. I'm
Yeah,
the one who's
yeah.
only conscious. Yeah.
Yeah, I have talked to people who say they're solipsists, but I've never talked to people who actually believe that they are the only people. Because if you take their money, they will come after you.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Vimo.
Chalo, bye bye.
Bye bye.
Yeah. Mm. So I'm gonna take Pranav on the screen for a second, who came out of nowhere. What's up?
Dude, what's up? What's up, man? I'm good. I was just listening to the previous caller, Physics.
Hmm.
His name was.
Physics.
So, yeah, that was a very interesting conversation. So, he was questioning the very nature of what you can call evidence, right?
Hmm.
And yeah, I just want to add some points. Oh, by the way, instead of do you think that Mars exists, he should have asked something like, do you think that Antarctica exists? Because Mars you can still see,
Yeah,
Antarctica
yeah.
you can't even
That's
see.
why
Why
I
would you?
told him, like, use something that I can't see with my eyes, because that will
Yeah,
make your argument stronger. If
yeah,
it's right in front of me, why would I need secondary evidence?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think so. Again, I just want to comment on what I would say to that. Also,
Huh.
again, this
Yeah,
seems
yeah.
very
Please go on. Go on.
narcissistic of me, but yeah. So I think the answer to that question would be repeatability of observation, which is
Hmm.
what you said,
Hmm.
right?
I was not actually
We,
talking about repeatability. I was talking about multiple points of view, but repeatability would also have been a
mm,
good point to make. Yeah.
yeah, the answer is, hey, what are you believing? Are you believing based on faith, or are you believing based on some reasonable something, some reason that you have? I'm not even saying it has to be evidence. You can be trusting someone who says they have evidence, and there are a lot of people who say that they have the evidence.
Yeah.
So are these reasons that you have for believing a thing, are they
Hmm.
reasonable, or is it based completely on faith? I
Hmm.
think that is the difference between believing based on faith and believing based on evidence. And this whole I the only thing I can know for sure is real is my own consciousness. Everything I see could be, a figment of my imagination, even my own body. That idea is unfalsifiable. There is
Yeah.
no way for anybody to verify if that's true.
Yeah.
All of this, all of see, as far as I'm concerned, you may not be real. Nothing can be real, but I can never know that. There
Yeah.
is no conceivable way. Yeah, same applies to.
By the way, Pranav, last week, so
Mhm.
let me break for a little bit. Pranav has started a reaction channel where he's reacting to stupid, superstition clips, etc. And he's also doing live streams. So, Pranav, I am hereby telling you that the last two clips on my channel,
Uh,
one is by a guy called, one was a conversation with a person called Panda, another one was with a person called Chinmay.
Chinmay,
And
yeah, I.
Chinmay, you can skip, but Panda's arguments, I think you
uh,
can do a reaction video to that and talk about how falsifiability, non-falsifiability works.
I
Uh,
was already
Primarily, the point, what I was fascinated by is that Panda's position was not that he knows this for sure. His position, interestingly enough, was that the idealism that he was presenting was
Mhm.
as likely as materialism. And there are problems with it, obviously, but I would love to hear what you have to say about it.
I'll take a look. I'll take a
Yeah.
look.
Huh.
But I did watch the Chinmay video. That was hilarious, man.
Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
physicist. Yes, I'm Queen Victoria.
I'll do a reaction to that for sure. But
Okay, cool.
yeah, I just want to pop in 5 minutes to say this. That's it. I
Cool.
don't have anything else, I guess. See you,
Great.
man. See
Thanks, man.
you.
Thank you.
See you
Bye
guys.
bye.
Yeah. Bye.